Welcome to the Bone and Joint Playbook with Dr. John Urse, where we explore an extensive range of orthopedic topics and insights. Our goal is to help you understand the available orthopedic options and treatments available, and hopefully give you some answers to questions you might have. We want to thank our following sponsors.
Ted's Authentic Greek Salad Dressing and Marinade. It's healthy, gluten-free, and delicious. You can find Ted's in Dayton, Ohio at Dorothy Lane Markets, Health Foods Unlimited, and Dots Markets. That's Ted's Authentic Greek Dressing and Marinade. Thanks, Ted.
We would also like to thank
Stifel's GWR Group combines more than 65 years of experience helping high net worth clients consolidate, coordinate, and simplify their wealth planning strategies. The group has access to a full suite of resources to serve all of your financial needs. Email gwrgroup@stifel.com or call 937-353-2863 to speak to Guy, Brad, or Jeff Richardson. Stifel, Nicholas & Company, Incorporated.
Hello, Dr. John, and welcome back to the Bone and Joint Playbook with Dr. John Urse.
Hey, thanks, Terry. How are you today?
I'm good, except it's cold.
Well, it's called winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Our Australian tennis players are suffering through 105-degree temperatures, so they need to move up to the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, where they had record snowfalls.
You were showing me that.
Above five-story buildings, they hadn't had that much snow in 130 years. So
I'm going to put that picture up because I can't believe that's real.
It's crazy. Yeah.
If it's real, that's crazy.
You'll have to get on your map and look up Vladivostok, Russia, where the Trans-Siberian Railroad ends, because that's where the tip of that peninsula is, and it gets a lot of winds and obviously snow. So unless you get banished to Siberia, you should be all right.
I'm just always wondering, why the hell would you live there?
Oh, you can make photos that people put on social media.
Just like that one right there. Hey, so we're here today to talk about something I've never heard of in my life. You've got some really fancy, expensive shoes we're going to talk about. And that topic is what?
Hammer toe time. You can't touch that.
I got to work that song in here somehow.
All right. We get around the copyright. We'll put a little MC on there for people.
So is it actually called hammer toe?
It is. And short of having you Google it, we'll maybe teach you a few things on the Bone and Joint Playbook today. A hammer toe is simply a bend of the middle knuckle of your toe. And we're not talking about the big toe today. That's not where, we talked before about gout.
Right.
We're not talking about bunions, which are in the big toe. This is what are called a lesser toe problem, meaning the smaller toes, the lesser toes. So mostly the second toe is the most commonly bent toe. And this is a bending of the toe where there's a bump, and then you get a callus or a little thing called a corn, and that rubs on your shoe or hurts. The toe isn't straight, and then people wonder, what the heck am I supposed to do with this bend in my toe? So we're talking about a bend, usually the second toe. Some people, probably about 20% of people, have a second toe that's longer than their big toe.
So is this
and their middle toes? So it's actually an anatomical variance, but it can happen in other conditions where people have tight muscles that bend the toes. We talked about the Achilles and stretching that.
Yep.
So there are ways people get hammer toes. We're not going to get too deep into that, but we're going to show some simple ways to diagnose it, some ideas of classifying it, whether you have to do anything with it surgically or not, some very simple treatments that are non-operative, and then we'll talk a little bit about ways to fix it if we have to.
All right. So for those people like me that don't have a doctor title, we're talking about the toe that went to the market or the toe that stayed home?
Well, in nursery rhyme parlance, I would say it's the second toe.
Yeah.
So it's the one closest to the big toe. So I don't know how many people are taking their socks off right now, but that toe, if it's bent at the middle knuckle, it either could be flexible, meaning you can straighten it by pushing it, or it could be fixed where it's stuck, and it means it's kind of been there for a while. And some people, it's usually not painful. It's more of a nuisance problem. It rubs against your shoes. It is commonly seen with certain shoe wear. And I've got some ladies' shoes that my wife provided. And
by the way, these shoes cost more than my car.
Okay, now that depends which ones you get, but there are some pretty pricey shoes. And
How could you possibly wear this shoe and be comfortable?
Perfect question, because that's what I tell people. How do you fit 5 toes into a toe box like that? Well, you don't very easily.
Yeah.
You cause yourself to get bunions. You cause yourself to get hammer toes, but you're looking good at the wedding
Oh my
or in
God.
church or wherever you wear your shoes. And trust me, when a woman wears these shoes, they've got an extra pair of shoes in the car to get these things off as soon as they can because their feet are killing them. But they're looking good doing it.
But I just never noticed shoes.
Well, you have certainly looked up the pricing on some of these.
Well, sorry,
maybe
Debbie.
there's a market.
I had to look it up.
There's a market for developing some of your own. There are some different levels of height for the heel.
Does height matter when it comes to this topic?
It definitely does, and some people feel better. Their knees feel better with a little height in their heel.
Really?
Because it takes a little pressure off the knee, but it makes your foot worse. So today we're going to talk about the forefoot. The forefoot is toward the toes. There's a hind foot by the ankle,
Yeah.
and there's things in the midfoot. All these things can benefit from some of the things we're going to talk about today, which are ways to help control the problem or reduce the symptoms or the deformity. We're going to talk about stretching. We're going to talk about arch supports where
Yeah.
you balance the foot. Some people have a flat arch. Some people have a high arch. Some people have a tight heel cord called the Achilles.
Yeah.
And all those pull on these ropey things called tendons. We talked about tendons, and sometimes they what called trigger in the finger where they stick.
Yeah.
But tendons also bend your toes and straighten them out. And when the tendons are either too tight or misaligned or crammed into a toe box, they can bend the toe. There's no other way. If your second toe is longer than your third toe, you actually might have to bend it just to have it fit in a toe box.
God,
right?
it'd be so uncomfortable.
So that's called a Morton's toe. So you can Google that if you want and find out whether you're in a group of people with longer second toes than other toes.
So as we get into this, I can solve this problem for 90% of the people listening right now. Don't wear the shoes.
Well, that's a good point, except there are men who get this also.
What?
And they don't wear those shoes, but they get the problems because we all sit in chairs, we sit at desks, we sit in cars.
Yeah.
We have tight hamstrings, Achilles tendons. It can lead to contracture of the bottom of the foot. We've talked about heel pain, called painful heel syndrome.
Yeah.
A lot of these things are all connected, just like a bike chain. So when your Achilles is tight, you can get heel pain, you can get forefoot pain or contractures of the toes, and these what are called lesser toe deformities can occur. So the key is start a stretching program. Drop your heels down off a stairwell, hold the banister for 3 minutes, 3 times a day. That'll help stretch the back of your legs, the Achilles, the plantar fascia, they call it, the heel fascia, and then also the little tendons that go to your toes. All these things can help you deal with a problem like this. You can also talk to your doctors and say, hey, like, I have a bend in my toe, this thing called a contracture. Could it be a sign of a neurological disease or some other
Really?
issue? So yeah, you if you have an issue that looks different to your normal body appearance, you always consult your healthcare professional and say, hey, is this anything to worry about? There are podiatrists who are foot specialists.
Right.
There are foot and ankle specialists who are orthopedic surgeons. Your family practitioners, chiropractors, other people deal with these problems all the time. And these are more of a nuisance problem than a worry. You're not going to die from a hammer toe. You're going to have trouble putting your shoe on. So you may want to get a wider toe box. You also might want to get an extra depth, which means it's top to bottom.
And you're calling this
bigger.
the toe box. This right
Yeah,
here,
where the
this-
toes fit.
Right. So
The
we
toes
call
fit
that
in a little box.
Okay.
So there are shoes that not only are wider, because some people have wider feet, but there's also some that have extra depth. So the bottom to top distance is greater. So if you have a bend in your toe, it doesn't rub because you're going to get a thickening of the skin called a callus or a corn, and you may have to file that down or pad it. They have little things called corn pads. They have little what are called soft tissue protectors. There's some even things. There's one brand of a thing called a toe straightener, and it literally goes, over the toe that's bent, if it's what's called flexible and you can straighten it, and it's got a pad on the bottom and a little strap, kind of like a bungee cord, that holds your toe straight and
Wow,
keeps it
pretty
from
crazy.
being bent. I mean, you can pick these up at any store for under
So
$5.
If somebody came to you and said, "Hey, doc, my toes bent up like this. I wear high heels a lot," wouldn't you just say, "Don't wear high heels"?
Of course, but nobody wants to say stop playing soccer. No one wants to say stop going to, your social events in high heels.
But is this painful?
It's painful if it starts to rub and you get an infection, or let's say you're a diabetic with poor circulation or
Right.
what's called neuropathy, and now you've got a rubbing area that causes a break in the skin. Then you get an infection. You could end up with a toe amputation or problems in the foot. So people that have decreased sensation, called neuropathy, from diabetes, vitamin deficiencies, whatever, or people that have diabetes in general, should always be looking at their feet every day to make sure there's no red areas that are rubbing, that they have proper shoes. People buy new shoes and then they wear them all day and they go, "Oh, my feet are killing me." Well, you haven't loosened the shoe up or broken them in.
Right.
So you always want to do a little short period around the house in a new shoe and see how it feels, because you're going to spend all day at work wearing them and then suffer a problem later. Again, we want to address the simple ways to fix a hammer toe problem.
How long does it take to straighten it back out?
Well, if it's flexible, you can do it yourself manually. You can just push it and it goes straight. That is called a flexible hammer toe. If it's fixed, meaning it doesn't straighten, then you have to deal with making the shoe wider, extra depth, top to bottom.
Yeah.
And let's say you've always worn size 10 shoes your whole life.
Sure.
As you get older, your arch flattens. Your shoes actually may need to be a 10 and a half or even an 11 later in life.
I had to do that recently.
Yeah. So
I had to get a wider shoe
Yeah.
and a bigger shoe.
And that's because our feet elongate. They get a little more swollen. Maybe we gain a little weight. Who knows? So what I think you should do is say, I have a problem. Can I take care of it simply with non-operative methods? There are a few ways to fix crooked toes. There are surgical ways where we actually shorten the toe by taking a small portion of the bone, removing it, straightening the toe. Sometimes a doctor or a podiatrist will put a pin in for a temporary healing. Sometimes they fuse or stiffen the joint straight so it can't bend. There are, obviously surgeons have lots of ways to fix things if you get to the point where I don't want crooked toes. Sometimes it can be the second, third, and fourth toe also. It could be 2 or 3 toes, not always just the second.
Well, the old joke, "Hey, doc, my elbow hurts when I do this." What do you say?
Don't do that.
Don't.
Right.
Exactly.
So again, this can be a nothing burger, we call it, where you don't have a problem that really needs surgery. But occasionally, if you're getting redness or shoe wear issues, or you're worried about infection, or you can't feel your feet, there are times straightening out the toes can be done, and that's probably a very small group of people that ever need a surgical procedure for this condition.
So is this mainly for younger women? Is this something, do you start to see as you get older, people not wearing heels as much, or what? Tell me about your typical patient for this.
I think this happens in all age groups as people get above, say, 25 years old. Not commonly seen in younger people. It is certainly more common, I think, in women. Certainly shoe wear contributes to this. But then as you get older, there are more other conditions where you get contractures, tighter joints, tighter tendons, and those can lead to what's called an imbalance of the tendons. And occasionally, you'll even get other types of deformities besides the hammer toe, called a claw toe, or a bend back of the knuckle before that middle one. Or you can have a thing called a claw toe, where the end of the toe is bent at the end knuckle. And that's a different condition. But again, they're all not perfectly straight toes that lead to issues with shoe wear or ambulation.
So it sounds like to me, if somebody's having this kind of issue, they don't need to rush to their doctor.
No, this is a try the beauty shop, the golf course, and Google, and then you usually end up with a healthcare provider, number 4. Not sure where AI fits into that, probably in the Google search.
Yeah.
But I think there is certainly a place for very simple measures, modifying your shoe wear, or not being in them very long, take them off after the wedding, and go to the reception and dance, right? That's
Got it.
certainly one. That's why you got your extra pair of shoes in the car.
Man, oh man. Well, I tell you what, I never thought I'd be talking about women's high heels, but every day's new
It's
and
hammer
exciting.
time.
It's hammer time. One more time.
Can't touch this.
Hammer toe time. Can't touch that.
Hey, well, thanks for joining. Oh, by the way, thank our
Well, we got to
sponsors.
thank our sponsors. We're happy to have Ted Salad Dressing. You go to tedsaladressing.com. It's a great sugar-free, dairy-free, gluten-free
really good. If you've never
marinade
tried it.
and a dressing.
Yeah.
And then the Stiefel GWR Group, financial advisors, Guy Richardson and Brad and Jeff. We have their contact information on our screen behind us here.
We do, yep.
And we'd like you to know a lot of your financial needs can be reviewed with those guys.
Okay.
And we appreciate their sponsorship.
Hey, well,
And
thanks for
Tri-Level Recording.
Thanks to Tri-Level
Don't
Recording.
forget to like the Bone and Joint Playbook and tell somebody about it on social media so we can get to Kamchatka, Russia. When we have
that
these
picture's
people in
crazy,
there,
man,
they
I'm
have to
telling
be
you.
in there listening to our podcast.
What else they
if
gonna
they're
be
that
doing?
cold? Well, the people in Australia too. We have quite a few listeners in Oceania, which is that whole area of Southeast Pacific.
It's hot down there. I've been there. So we want to thank you all for joining us. We will see you again on the next episode of the Bone and Joint Playbook with Dr. John Urse. Thank you for tuning in.